Hello everyone, and today we're back for another Loomian Legacy Top 10 video, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 most hated Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. When I'm talking about the top 10 most hated Loomians, I'm talking about the top 10 most hated Loomians in all of PvP. This counts my opinions, this counts other PvP players' opinions. These are the most hated Loomians that you'll ever see in Team Preview. If you see these Loomians, you're going to groan in disgust because you either see them all the time, they're either super annoying to defeat, or, you know, they're just the same old Loomians that you've seen for the last 3 years. So, with that out of the way, let's head right into this video. But before we get into this top 10 video, I'm going to be doing another giveaway. It's going to be a smaller giveaway this time. I'm going to be giving away a Gamma HW Wiledile. If y'all want to win this Gamma HW Wiledile, just go in the comment section below at this video and comment Gamma HW Wiledile. When you comment that, I'm going to give y'all a number, and then within the next few days, I'm going to live stream me spinning the wheel. And if it lands on your number, you will win a Gamma HW Wiledile. So, let's head right onto this list. Number 10 on this list is going to be Thawmin. If y'all watched my top 5 most hated Loomians video back a few months ago, Thawmin was actually number 2 on that list. So, why did it fall off? Let's talk about why Thawmin is one of the most hated Loomians. First of all, it has priority foresight, which means it has 90 power stab priority. When you combine that with its high ranged attack stat of 118 and specialty goggles and very smart, this thing can pretty much OHKO any Loomian with a neutral hit, which is pretty insane. That doesn't even mention the fact that it also has really good coverage. Has Deep Freeze to hit Earth types and Water types, has Thunder Strike to hit Metal types, and it even has Life Drain to hit the most common Metal type in Tire X. Its other stats are also pretty solid as well. 99 speed, 92 range defense, and 77 HP makes it so it can actually lift some hits pretty well. That doesn't even mention the fact that it used to have Zip Zap and Fade Away, so it was actually able to pivot out of bad matchups as well. And it used to be that Foresight, if you were above half HP, you would always get priority Cycle Blast, meaning it was very easy to just bring it in later in the game, and then you just had 90 power priority. The reason why it's a lot lower now is because they nerfed the heck out of Thawmin. First of all, they got rid of Zip Zap, so now it only has Thunder Strike. I think they also did some other nerfs as well, but the big nerf they did is nerfing Foresight. Your Mind-type moves tend to go first when you are at full HP. They changed it, so now Thawmin has to be at full HP. And while it is an Ice type, so it can be immune to Icicle Traps, it isn't immune to Poison Barbs or Barbs, meaning that if you land onto the field with Barbs, your Foresight ability is completely disabled for the rest of the fight. Meaning you either have to use Thawmin early game, or you have to find a way to keep hazards off the field. It's still a pretty annoying Loomian if you don't have hazards up, but almost every team should run hazards now, and almost every good team has hazards set up, meaning it's actually a lot harder to actually get Thawmin into the game, especially since it was a late game cleaner back then. So now it's a late game cleaner that needs to worry about Barbs, makes Thawmin a lot more manageable than it was before. Still very annoying, and all of those PTSD moments of me losing to a Thawmin at the end game doesn't make Thawmin completely escape this list. It still lands at number 10 on this list despite the nerf. Number 9 on this list is going to be Hydrofraud. Yes, his name is Hydrofraud and not Hydrolen. A lot of people might be shocked that a Loomian as bad as Hydrolen is on the list. But the reason why Hydrolen is on the list is it's one of those Loomians that is so bad at PvP. It's actually, I hate it because of that reason. It's just so bad. While there's other bad Loomians like Surebot that has a lot of interesting sets, or Nautilus could be used under Beta Haste, Hydrolen's only niche is Luck of C 50% critical hits. If it doesn't get a critical hit, it does 0 damage. If it gets a critical hit, it can OHKO stuff if it's a super effective hit, and that's it. Its stats suck. 80 in the health, 97 attack on both sides, its defensive suck. The only good stat is in its speed, and even then 107 speed isn't even a saving grace. Especially when you consider the fact that Very Nimble Hydrofraud can't even outspeed Very Nimble Ronsador, Hundor, or Shyenta, who are 3 very dangerous threats, by the way. And its offensive coverage. It has water, plant, and air. That's it. It simply just cannot hit water types. It also can't hit plant types as well. So, yeah, Hydrolen really cannot hit anything. And it requires a bulk up in order to even Oko stuff. And it needs to get the luck of C critical hit, which is only 50%. You can see why Hydrolen is very bad. But it's also on this list because I've always struggled when I used Hydrolen. It never did well. It either got a useless KO or it just fell short on a KO before dying itself. And the problem with Hydro Fraud is that its item choice, it's forced to run power cuffs or gloves in order to hit hard, but if you run that, you don't live to hit. If you run clutch plushie, you don't hit hard enough. If you run very nimble, you don't hit hard enough. If you run very brawny, you're not fast enough. So it just really can't do anything, especially when you consider the fact that the strongest move it has is Body Slam. I think it learns Hydro Blast, but you're never using ranged Hydrolen because, you know, Luck of C is its best ability, and there's no ranged attacks to actually boost its critical hit rate. So you're using Hydro Slash and Thistle Slash as your best moves on Hydro Fraud. It's a mixed attacker that can't even really be used as a mixed attacker too well. And it's one of those cases on this list, and it's the only case on this list, actually, where a Loomian is so bad that I hate it because of that. That's why Hydrolen is on the list, but don't worry. The other Loomians on this list are going to be a lot more annoying to deal with. That's why Hydro Fraud is only at the number 9 spot. Number 8 onto this list is going to be Krakaloa. Honestly, I don't mind Soulburst Krakaloa. Soulburst Krakaloa is honestly fine. The biggest problem with Krakaloa is its Scorching Skin ability. That also doesn't even mention the fact that if you look at its base stats, 95 health, 95 melee defense, and 99 range defense, it can pretty much live hits on any side, and its Soulburst form is even stronger. That doesn't even mention the fact that its Soulburst form can actually summon Heat Wave. It can actually do decent damage itself. So it's a defensive Loomian that can actually do some offensive pressure as well. It also has Rejuvenate, so it can heal its HP back. Has Dark Surge to hit bulky Loomians like Eliguana and Luminami for super effective. And it has Tear Down and Mudslide in order to get rid of hazards. Krakaloa is the most effective hazard removal in all of Loomian Legacy. Even when it loses Mudslide, it's still going to be very effective because it still learns to move Teardown. The thing that makes Krakaloa one of the most annoying Loomians in the game is its ability to trap melee attackers in jail. Now, I will say that Year 2 Season 1 will make Krakaloa lose Scorching Skin for Toasty. So, in the future, Krakaloa might not be as annoying because even though it still has Raging Flame to stun melee attackers, now the opposing player has a choice if they want their melee attacker to be burned or not. Right now, melee attackers can't even attack. Just with the presence of Krakaloa right there, a melee attacker has a choice. Do you attack, or do you predict Krakaloa switching in? If Krakaloa switches in and you get burned, tough luck! Your melee attacker's out of commission for the rest of the fight. What if you predict and the other Loomian stays in? Well, there goes your Loomian. You made the wrong read, bye-bye. So, Krakaloa is one of those Loomians that you really gotta think ahead about. If Krakaloa is on the opposing team, if you have a melee attacker on the field, you have to expect the Krakaloa switching in. And a lot of the most common melee attackers in the game are Loomians that deal with Krakaloa. I mean, Aqua Body Aqualoss is a threat because Scorching Skin cannot Scorching Skin Aqua Body Aqualoss. There's also Tyrex with Earthquake, and there's a couple other melee attackers that are just simply immune to Scorching Skin Krakaloa. The meta needed to be played around Krakaloa because its Scorching Skin ability is too strong, and that's why Krakaloa is on this list. It sucks because I originally really liked Krakaloa in the past, especially its Soulburst form in the past. But now, almost every stall team uses a Scorching Skin form, and it traps melee attackers in jail. And that's why it's one of the most hated Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy, at number 8. Number 7 onto this list is going to be another Loomian that traps Loomians on the field, and it's Plasmoth. So you know how Krakaloa has the Scorching Skin ability to trap melee attackers? Well, Plasmoth can do the same thing with its Charge Arc ability on ranged attackers. That doesn't even mention the fact that Plasmoth has a niche that no other bulky Loomian has in the game. It's a ranged bulky Loomian that has a very fast speed stat in 112. So it has 86 health, 109 range defense, and 112 speed. This makes Plasmoth unlike any other bulky Loomian in the game, as it actually outspeeds a lot of offensive threats. This allows Plasmoth to do a lot of other things very devious. Plasmoth is one of the most effective provoke Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. If you have a Loomian that can set up barbs, or have a Loomian that can, set up on it, too bad. The Plasmoth clicks provoke, you can't attack. And they're like, okay, I can just try to break through the Plasmoth. Well, the Plasmoth clicks Pestilence, and then you're trapped on the field. All of a sudden, you are a sitting duck, and the Plasmoth stalls you out as it spams Rejuvenate. It also has other moves like Dissipate and Zip Zap, so it can actually pivot out of bad matchups if need be. But the most annoying set is definitely the Pestilence and Provoke set. That doesn't even mention the fact that if a range attacker's on the field and it gets paralyzed, it can lower the speed stat of that offensive Loomian for the rest of the game, while they also don't get their energy back. There's also the Thunder Summon Plasmoth, who can summon Thunderstorms, which Thunderstorms is one of the better weathers in Loomian Legacy, and especially when you consider the fact that Plasmoth is the best weather setter. So you could dissipate out of that, or get boosted Zip Zaps into your Phage Knot, and then Phage Knot absolutely cooks your teams as well. Plasmoth can do a lot of different things. It isn't like Krakaloa, where it just traps melee attackers, and then it's relatively passive after that. Plasmoth can absolutely 1v1 certain teams just because of its ability to trap Loomians in. And if you expect them to place barbs, well, they're trapped on the field. You provoke them, you trap them, and then you'll win the 1v1 eventually. That's what makes Plasmoth one of the most annoying Loomians in the game. And while it is a very flexible Loomian, it can also be very annoying to deal with. And that's why Plasmoth is one of the most hated Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. Number 6 on this list is going to be very controversial. In fact, it should be higher because it's Luminami. Everyone knows how bulky this fish is. It has Power Napper, so anytime it switches out, it heals HP back. Has Flash and Flee to pivot out. Has very good coverage moves in Frost Beam, Mega Chomp, and Thunder Chomp to hit certain threats. And look at its base stats. It probably has some of those balanced stats in all of Loomian Legacy. 105 health, 88 energy, 94 melee attack, 95 melee defense, 98 range attack, 85 range defense, and 60 speed. But that low speed stat actually works very well for Luminami because it makes Luminami go last, meaning it makes Luminami soak a hit as it pivots out into something else for free. That's what makes Luminami one of the most hated Loomians in Loomian Legacy. It just takes the hit, especially when you combine it with a restrictive item or heavy item after a palm, and this thing can just pretty much live any hit in the game. It lived an Egg Onslaught from Soulburst Dragodine. It lived a Vulgar Fangs from Soulburst Joltooth, and it didn't even do half. It can live super effective hits that well, that switching into super effective hits is the best decision for you, because that's how powerful Luminami is, especially when you consider the fact that it gets free HP back with the Power Napper ability. It's also one of the easiest Loomians to use as well. If there's no plant type or no Flash and Flee immunity, you just spam Flash and Flee with no flaws, and then you have so many chances with your offensive Loomians to win the game. If there is a plant type, click Mega Chomp or Frost Beam. Bye-bye, plant types. Yes, Luminami will lose Frost Beam and Mega Chomp, but it isn't going to affect Luminami's usage at all. It's still just going to pivot out of them, and it's going to just play a little bit smarter. It's still one of the bulkiest Loomians in the game, and it still has Power Napper, Flash, and Flee. The reason why Luminami isn't in the top 5, though, despite being one of the most hated Loomians in the game, is because I faced so many Luminamis that I found ways to consistently beat them. I mean, of course, a lot of my teams are built just by the threat of Luminami, so I am well prepared for it. But what I do against Luminami is I either trap it in with like Quicksand or Pestilence, I place barbs, I always have moves that can predict the Luminami coming in, and if I have a plant type in the back, always go into the plant type to stop its momentum. Even if it does predict the plant type coming in, it stops the momentum, and then I have something else offensive on the field. So there are ways to halt Luminami's momentum, but there's no way to really truly stop it, especially when you consider the fact that it's the best momentum gainer in all of Loomian Legacy. And that's what makes Luminami not only one of the most hated Loomians, but one of the best Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. So that's why it's on the list. Let's head straight into our top 5. Number 5 onto this list is going to be the funny tree himself, Lando Tree, aka Lashent. Lashent being number 5 on this list isn't a shocker. I mean, Lashent was the number 1 spot on my original top 5 list, but it has fallen a little bit on my most hated Loomians list. And the reason why is because, again, I found ways to outplay Lashent, but there's nothing else to really say. Lashent, just like Luminami, is one of the most balanced Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. I mean, look at the base stats. 104 in the health, 86 in the energy, 103 melee attack, 93 melee defense, 79 range defense, and 64 speed. And even though it does have a relatively low range defense stat, when you combine that with its secret ability Petrifying, it makes it so it doesn't die on the range side either. So, Lashent and Luminami together are one of the best team structures and one of the most boring team structures to face that make battles last for 30 minutes. Like, you could just use 5 offensive Loomians and then have Lumi-Shent in the back just to deal with all the defensive threats. As both of those Loomians can pretty much defeat 80% of the game, which is kind of crazy. And unlike Luminami, Lashent can actually deal some relatively good damage as well. It has Icicle Traps to deal with air types, it has Earthquake to deal with fire types, has Timber Thrash, Gnarly Gash, Slapdown, Brawn Boost, Ice Hammer, Tricky Tactics. There's a lot of different moves you can actually run on Lashent, which makes it really dangerous, not just as a defensive Loomian, but it's also very dangerous offensively as well. You could use the Gloves Watcher Lashent and just absolutely nuke a Loomian, or you could use Specialty Boots Gloomy Lashent to outspeed certain threats and deal solid damage in return. There's so many different ways to use Lashent. There's also Briar Block as well. Briar Block, Sap Plant, Rejuvenate, which is probably one of the most annoying Lashent sets of all time. This thing even has Hypnotize. You can run Hypnotize Briar Block, and then you have a Loomian asleep with Icicle Traps up. Good, have fun napping, because this thing is ultimately a nightmare. This thing never dies. It doesn't even die to quad effective hits from fire and bug type attacks. So, yeah, you can see why Lashent is on this list. But I did have it lower on the list because just like with Luminami, I faced so many Luminami Lashent teams that I found consistent ways to beat them. You know, having hazards up, having toxic type attackers, and you know, forcing Lashent to be on the field and forcing it into a bad matchup. So, I found ways to beat Lashent, that's why it's not higher on the list, but don't make this face fool you. Lashent will eat your soul. So, yeah. Number 5 on the list, both Lumi-Shent doesn't make the top 3, which is very interesting. So, let's see who number 4 on the list is. Number 4 onto this list will not be a shocker for anyone who watches any video on my channel because it's Pharoglyph. Everyone knows how much I despise this Loomian. Lashent, you know, is annoying. Luminami, one of the best momentum gainers in the game. Pharoglyph is just stupid. This gets into the territory of Loomians that are just broken and stupid. So, Pharoglyph is one of those Loomians that's never been good in the past, until Jamie gave it every single buff under the sun. Has pretty good base stats, 88 into the health, 100 in the energy, 120 range attack, 101 range defense, and 106 speed. The thing that makes Pharoglyph very dangerous is a combination of 3 moves. First of all, it has Mind Drain, a 75 base power stab move that heals HP back. This on its own isn't the end of the world, but when you combine that with its ability Temper, this thing can suddenly snowball damage out of return. If Pharoglyph gets down to half health, it gets a Temper Boost, Mind Drain heals it back up, and then it can get Temper Boost over, and over, and over again. Hey, look at the bright side, though. You can at least offensively counter it, though. It only has 106 speed. Well, that's where a little move Hasten comes in. You pick up the pace, and you boost your range attack and speed by 1. After a Hasten, it outspeeds every Loomian in the game, and this includes almost every Boots Loomian as well. You can see why I hate Pharoglyph. And the thing is with Pharoglyph, it's one of those Loomians where if you have a meta team, Pharoglyph isn't going to do too much. If you have your Lashent, if you have your Luminami to pivot off of it, if you have your Plasmoth to wall it and Pestilence it, you know, Pharoglyph almost never does anything. If you have your Soulburst Dragodyne as well, it almost doesn't do anything. But if you don't have any Loomian that resist Mind, Dark, and Earth, bye-bye! Pharoglyph wins. It's one of those Loomians that if you don't have a meta team involved, Pharoglyph just completely sweeps your team on the spot. One Hasten, GG's, it wins. It's that broken. And honestly, I'm shocked that Jamie did not nerf Pharoglyph. Either, I don't know, it should have lost Hasten. It either should lose Mind Drain or Hasten. I think Temper's fine, but either lose Mind Drain or Hasten, so it can't heal that HP back that easily. Because trust me, attacking while healing HP back is one of the most powerful things a Loomian can do, especially a Loomian that can constantly get Temper Boost over and over again. That's why Pharoglyph is one of the most hated Loomians in the game. Maybe y'all don't hate it as much, but I hate it a lot. And that's why Pharoglyph is on the list. We're into our top 3 now, and number 3 onto this list is going to be Dorogo. Now, this might be very controversial. There's probably some people out there that are like, I don't hate Dorogo. I actually like using Dorogo. But then there's other people that are like, yes, Dorogo belongs on this list. All I'm going to say, Draco spam. That's all I need to say with Dorogo. Dorogo's base stats are nothing impressive. 66 HP, 86 energy, 86 melee attack, 90 range attack. Defenses are pretty subpar, but it does have one strength, 116 speed. This 116 speed combined with Anomaly Draco Beam makes Dorogo one of the most annoying late game sweepers of all time. That doesn't even consider the fact that Dorogo is very flexible. You don't know which Dorogo set you're going to face until you actually face it. Keep in mind, Draco Beam is 130 base power. And you know how Magnify increases your range attack stat by 2, but it's a passive move? You don't do any damage? Well, Dorogo's Anomaly Draco Beam is at 130 base power that boosts its range attack by 2. So yeah, that's very fun. Especially when you combine the fact that it also has Dark Surge as a coverage move, has Poison Barb, so you know, it can Poison Stall if it has to. Oh my god, Scapegoat! Scapegoat Dorogo is one of the most annoying Loomians in the game to deal with. It sets up a Scapegoat, and then all of a sudden, it never dies. And it always feels like that when you're facing Dorogo, it's always that specific Dorogo set that beats you. If you have a Loomian that can soak the hit, too bad, it's Specialty Goggles. Want a Specialty Boots, have a Specialty Boots Loomian to outspeed it? Oh no, the Dorogo's Specialty Boots. You think it could defensively stall it? It's Scapegoat. You think you have the metal type to switch in? Meet Mud Spatter. That's the problem with Dorogo. Even though it doesn't have good stats, the fact that it has 116 speed and Anomaly Draco Beam is what makes Dorogo one of the most annoying Loomians in the game to deal with. And there's really no Loomian that can completely counter this thing either. It's simply too fast and can simply snowball out of control too quickly. And that's why Dorogo is one of the most hated Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. I'm sorry, Speeder. It had to be done. Number 2 onto this list is going to be Borealis. Oh gosh, Borealis. Borealis has always been one of the Loomians I always hate facing. Even when it came out, its upper hand set and its undermine set has always been very annoying to deal with. But that's not the set I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Loomian that single-handedly killed Ranked PvP Season 3. This single Loomian killed that entire season for me. Elusive Borealis. Jamie nerfed Borealis after Season 2 because Elusive was pretty powerful back then. It nerfed it so if Borealis had a status condition, it basically took no damage. And yeah, that nerf turned out to be a massive buff for it because Borealis has very good stats. Has 98 health, 118 melee attack, 101 range defense, and 103 speed. Its only big weakness in the stats is 57 melee defense, which can be patched up after a bulk up. And its range defense is a lot higher when you consider the fact that it has Bitter Cold. Bitter Cold is a status condition which gives the opposing Loomian the Frostbite status condition, which Frostbite makes it so range attackers simply can't touch it. This Loomian also has moves like Ill Will to have a very powerful attack, Icicle Tremor to hit Loomians like Plasmoth, and it can even run other moves like, Radiant Rush, Cycle Chomp. Slumber's the big one. Slumber's the annoying part. Even when you get Borealis chipped, Borealis could slumber, and sleep is also a status condition, meaning that you still can't hurt Borealis while it's asleep, and if you get to bulk up off, too bad you can't beat it. The only Loomians that can really beat this is either Square One Your Snack or Vice Dolls. That's kind of it. There's really no other ways to consistently beat Borealis. If it sets up too much, game over. And even though Elusive Borealis got nerfed to the ground, it's still a set I see every once in a while, and it's still a set that is very annoying to deal with. The annoying set nowadays is its upper hand set, because it has very good coverage moves. Undermine does 140 base power on its first attack, and yeah, while under Fog, Fog Borealis is one of the most dangerous threats in Ranked Season 4 as well. So, even though it's not as annoying as it used to be, the PTSD of elusive Borealis, and the fact that Borealis has always been an annoying threat, makes Borealis the number 2 most hated Loomian on this list, and very close to number 1. But before we talk about number 1, we're going to go to the honorable mentions first. On our honorable mentions, the first Loomian we'll be talking about is Zulong. Zulong has always been a Loomian that's been very annoying with its double pivot and its very high base stats. 109 ranged attack and 119 base speed made Zulong one of the better offensive pivoters in the game. Zulong was a very powerful core with Zubarat, which, Umbrat was able to chase down and trap Iguanas in the past, while Zulong was able to cook the rest of the team. The reason why it wasn't on this list is because it did get nerfed, it did just lose Fire Breath, and it's a lot more manageable now, but it's a Loomian that a lot of players still kind of hate to this day, even though I don't really hate it as much. The next Loomian will be Barblast. Oh my gosh. A lot of people might be shocked that Barblast is on this list, but any player that's played during the 2022s and 2023 knows how bulky Barblast is. This Loomian has the best bulk in LL, 96 health, 107 melee defense, and 88 range defense. When you consider the fact that it also has the water toxic type, which is a really good defensive typing, and poison, rejuvenate, icicle traps, there's no wonder why Barblast was one of the most annoying Loomians in all of LL. The next honorable mention is the funny squid guy, Bloodsucker, Soul Drain, you win. Not much to say here. Fun fact, Cephalops is actually unbanned for Year 2 Season 1, so yippee! I'm back, baby! Gargolem Attack. Gargolem Attack was the most threatening Loomian in all of Ranked Season 4, but the reason why it wasn't on this list is because Jamie spared us. Jamie emergency banned Gargolem Attack before it inevitably killed the season. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie, for emergency banning this Loomian before it absolutely ruined the season. It looks like Jamie learned from Ranked Season 3, and I love to see that. And Montreal might be shocking on this list, but just like Hydro Fraud, Montreal is another example of a Loomian that's so bad that I hate it. And it did really bad in my showcases as well, because it had a lot of high base power moves, and it needs the high base power moves because it only has 104 melee attack, but the high base power moves miss, so I kept missing my attacks, and it felt like a Loomian that has stuff on paper, but it can never get the stuff done, either because its attacks miss, or there's just other Loomians that do the job better. And then the final honorable mention is not necessarily a Loomian, but a move. There's a move called Tamp. Tamp is a move that increases your melee defense and your ranged defense by 1. And there are Loomians like Soulburst Florant, Soulburst Gastroke, and Muriel who could set up Tamps, and then after one Tamp, they never die. I wanted to include Soulburst Gastroke. Soulburst Gastroke was probably the biggest contender when it comes to Tamp strategies, but you can count Soulburst Florant, you can count Muriel, you can count Scampy when Scampy had Tamp. Those Loomians also count as well. Tamp's a very annoying move. There's nothing else to really say there. After one Tamp, the Loomian needs to be critted in order to die. So there's not really much to say there. There's a reason why Tamp is probably one of my most hated moves in the game. So those are the honorable mentions. Let's head to the number 1 spot. The number 1 most hated Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy is Tiklipse. Now, a lot of people might be shocked that Tiklipse is number 1 on this list, because it hasn't done that well in the most recent ranked PvP season, so they might think that this number 1 spot is a joke. But there's nothing to joke here. Tiklipse is probably my most hated Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. Let's talk about why I hate this Loomian so much. It has the Light-Dark typing, which, is one of the best offensive typings in all of Loomian Legacy. The things that Dark can't hit, Light hits, and the things that Light can't hit, Dark can't hit. So, yeah, great offensive synergy. It's also pretty solid defensively, but we'll get there in a little bit. Its base stats, while not the most impressive, are good enough. Pretty balanced across the board. 75 in the health, 84 in the energy, 106 attack, 90 melee defense, 75 range defense, 89 speed. The stats are pretty balanced across the board. It actually used to have 96 speed. It actually used to be faster, but thank God it got nerfed. But the thing that makes Tiklipse one of the most annoying Loomians in the game is its secret ability, Total Eclipse. When struck by a light or dark type attack, this Loomian absorbs it and boosts its speed. After a Total Eclipse boost, it outspeeds pretty much any Loomian in the game. The only Loomians that would not outspeed are Specialty Boots Loomians that are over 94 speed. That's it! Those are the only Loomians that can outspeed Tiklipse after a speed boost. And when you consider the fact that It has the light-dark typing. It only has 2 weaknesses. So it's weak to metal, it's weak to bug. It has 3 immunities. A light, a dark, and a spirit immunity. This can block 2 of the 3 common pivot moves in Fade Away and Flash and Flay. And then in Flash and Flay scenario, it also gives it a speed boost. But that's not the only thing that makes Tiklipse one of those hated Loomians as well. Because after the ranked PvP season was added, Tiklipse got the funny little move Peace of Mind and Bulk Up. And when you combine that with Scapegoat and Health Amulet, this thing can pretty much win games on the spot. If there's anything passive, you set up a Scapegoat, you set up a Peace of Mind or Bulk Up, and you win. With your light-dark offense, you win the game on the spot. Or wait. Maybe you don't set up a Scapegoat. Maybe you just set up a Brawn boost after you switch into a lighter dark type attack. And then you win the game after a Magnifier Brawn boost as well. Oh wait, maybe you do need the speed boost. You have Drudge. You also have Hasten. Tiklipse can pretty much be annoying in pretty much any way. And you don't know what Tiklipse set you're going to face until it either clicks a move or it clicks the funny Scapegoat button. And anytime you see a Tiklipse in Team Preview, your dark and light type moves, you're never going to click a dark or light type move because when you give Tiklipse the speed boost, it will sweep you. It was also one of the best PvP Loomians from 2020 to 2024. It was probably the #1 PvP Loomian constantly. It was always constantly in the top 10. So it was always a consistent threat to deal with. And while it isn't the most powerful Loomian now, all those years of dealing with the stupid rat, dealing with its Dark Surge flinches, dealing with its Total Eclipse, dealing with its Scapegoat Peace of Mind shenanigans, there's no contest. Tiklipse is the most hated Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. And here it is, Tiklipse, the most hated Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. I don't think there'll be another Loomian that I'll hate more than Tiklipse, but only time will tell. We're going to have to wait for our 2026 list in order to see. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 most hated PvP Loomians video. If there are some other PvP Loomians that I missed on the list, please tell me in the comments below, because there's definitely some Loomians that I probably missed. And if y'all want to join the giveaway, just comment Gamma HW Wiledile in the comments below, and y'all should be able to join the giveaway. I accidentally joined a battle with Kumbunga, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this list, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!